Did I just hear you right? Brandy speaks up to break the overwhelming silence. All but one of the accompanying Terrans stare at the back of the redhead, in various states of disbelief. Yep, Simone answers simply. You're bullshitting us, Troy reasons, expecting Simone to break into laughter. Not this time, bud, the redhead replies, before standing up from her sitting position and turning back to face everyone. You are all free to drop out, no hard feelings, but let me make something crystal clear. We need the full support of the Terran Union if this galaxy has any chance to endure what's coming. But don't have time to sift through the normal channels. At best, assuming our claims and evidence will be taken seriously and the Gaia fucks don't completely block us, it'll take years for anything to get pushed in our favour. Years that we don't have to spend. So we go straight to the top and do whatever it takes to expose what's going on. That would make us terrorists though, right? Troy says nervously. More than likely, but I'm hoping we can manage to avoid actual violence. What we need is a private audience with the President. If we get that much at least, I can convince her, Simone responds. What makes you so certain of that? Brandy asks. Because any alternative will lead to the same result, Devin finally speaks up, before Simone can respond. I think Simone is right, he adds, surprising everyone. The man glances around at the stairs before crossing his arms. It's only logical. Unless something significant is done, nothing substantial is going to change. We are the only ones in position to do so. However, if we are to do this, it's vital that we don't cause any casualties. Minimum collateral will give us validity in our intentions. Devin elaborates before eyeing Brandy directly. It's already in our business to risk our lives. Might as well be for the whole of everything and everyone. I'm in support of this, though a better plan than kidnap the President is obviously a priority moving forward. Brandy reaches up to pinch her brow, but her helmet gets in the way. Clearly uneasy at the idea, she nods. Well, if your cynical ass is on board, I suppose I ought to improve the odds by jumping on too, she agrees tentatively. Just hope it's the right thing to do. Is this going to be like that one old treasure hunting movie? What was it? Federal Treasure? Where they steal an old piece of paper with the lemon juice on it? Troy inquires. Kinda, yeah. Hopefully we get a better sequel though, Simone says with a chuckle, before addressing Thorne, who has been completely quiet up to this point. What about you, cowboy? What do you mean, kid? I've been on board since yesterday. Been pulling at some more strings while you were yapping the obvious. It looks like the President will be visiting Titan in a few standard days' time to personally adjudicate some prototype warship and weapon projects. A week afterwards, she is to convene with representatives of the Crab people regarding trade deals and colony rights, Thorne informs. Colony rights? Simone asks in concern. Yeah, it seems to be regarding establishing volunteer Grab populations in Terran colonies. The Grad were the ones to bring up the initial proposal, Thorne answers. That genuinely calms the redhead's nerves quite a bit. Okay, good to... Wait, that might be a perfect in, she realizes, turning to Chuck. With you and your brother's influence, we could get access to those proceedings from the Grad's end. Chuck bounces contemplatively. Oh, that may be very true, but it must be said that we could risk the relationship between the Terrans and Grad if we're not careful. Risking our lives is one thing, but disrupting already sensitive political relations like that is quite the cost. Even if it's for the greater good, we must not leave a destructive weight behind us, she points out. Then let's get to the Grad representatives ASAP. I'll work something solid out, Simone acknowledges, before stepping towards the direction of the shuttle. One problem, lass, Thorne cuts in, prompting Simone to stop and turn. They'll be meeting in Central. And by Central, I mean Central, he updates. At the CHS? Chuck asks in worried surprise. The Central Station Hub? The very same. Grad are already there, so if we're gonna go, we ought to be prepared. We're gonna have to not only look the part and give them a reason as to why a pack of unknown Terrans is looking to roam around specific politicians. I got strings to pull, but we're gonna need a meaty single crystal graphene tether for this one. And I ain't got that, Thorne explains. Simone's shoulders slump slightly as she sighs. Biting her cheek, she starts to think of possibly jumping the President on Titan, or maybe while en route just outside the CHS, before the Callie raises her lower appendage to grab attention. Friends, you are in the presence of a central recognized politician. A princess even, she points out with a human bounce. Leave those matters to me. It shouldn't be an issue, although it may expose the true identity of the Kelly organization who are directly aiding the Grat. That said, I'm certain I can work out how to proceed in that regard with my brother. Oh yeah, Troy vocalized, in tune with most of the other Terran's silent expressions. Truly heroes of the ages. Then that's that. Let's get off this dead rock and go commit some galactic crimes. Simone smirks, before bending over to pick up a small melon-sized chunk of petrified wood. As the Terrans follow the redhead, who seems eager to leave for several reasons, Chuck lags behind to stare at the near barren mountains. With her lens, she pulls up old geographic images of what this area used to look like. A beautiful blue sky, luscious puffy clouds that danced around the tops of the splendorous green mountains. Between the channels of the mountains were crystal-like glowing bodies of crisp water. Flicking back to the current state, her eyes dim. Then, against many health codes and concerns, she removes the end power suit gloves of one of her lower appendages. She can feel the strange, discomforting pull of Terran gravity, as if someone was pressing hard only at the first knuckle. Kneeling, the Kelly feels the soil with her own skin by slowly dragging it over. She then begins to speak in her native language, in a tender whisper. Sweet slumbering mother, a child of Simultas honors you. I wish to inform you that I'm grateful for welcoming me for the time I was here. I know it must be lonely with your children away, but I assure you they continue to be what you forced them to become. Not without hardship, but you prepared them for it, Didn't you? Such a beautiful mother who gave everything she could to nurse them into the survivors that they are. It's almost like you knew what was to come, and so raised the mightiest guardians you could muster. I hope you have no ill will towards how they left you, and that you will welcome them back someday as you recover. I'm certain after they help save the stars, they will come into your loving arms once again. She pauses for a moment to give the viewer a last passing glance. Thank you. Because of you I met Simone. I'm certain she is to become one of your greatest prides among your children. Mother Earth, I promise you that for the rest of her days I will treat her as the wonderful gift you've given. Goodbye, sweet slumbering mother. Rest forever well, and one day awake more beautiful than ever. Standing back up, the Kelly restores her appendage so it's fully suited, and hurries to catch up with the Terran pack. Aw, has he been a good boy? Simone coos in a chuckle, as Jamie clung tightly to her torso. The initial noise levels were a discomfort ought for those in proximity. Other than myself, of course, sound levels loud enough to cause harm me would most likely vibrate me into dust. However, after a snack and physical play Jamie calm down, Seven replies pleasantly. And SJ? Spend their time drawing again? Simone inquires. Indeed, however much of that time was accompanied by myself or Captain Choknok. They are always eager to share their craft, the bot says with a stiff nod of their cranium equivalent. That's good. Are they with Choknok now? The redhead asks. They are not. They have resigned to your quarters as to watch animated children's media. Seven updates. Alrighty. I need to lay down for a bit anyways. Thanks again for watching him, Seven. I owe you one. Simone farewells as she starts her way back. Negative. You have an important job to do that requires you to separate from your adopted children. A job that more than makes eggs up for my involvement in watching over them, or as you Terrans humorously call it, babysitting. Although your species does not engage age in incubation or protection against the elements in that manner, the bot responds to the Terran. See you all for the evening meal. Smiling, Simone carries Jamie into her room to immediately see SJ watching an animated cartoon with an intense amount of super Terrans in the midst of bloody, fist-flinging violence. Their scales flicking in surprise and fear, SJ scrambles to change the presented media to something that their canny parent would find more suitable. No worries, kiddo. I ain't a snitch, Simone giggled, as she winked at the Wataf. Nodding in appreciation, SJ still changed the cartoon since Jamie was present. As their mother sits down on the bed, they skitter up her side to nuzzle the side of her head. Stars. I keep forgetting how fast Wataf mature. I ought to be paying more attention to you, otherwise I'm going to miss your whole dang childhood, the Terran says aloud, as she rests her back against the wall. In response, SJ curls around Simone's shoulders in scarf mode, hissing lowly in affection. Their backplates rhythmically clack together in repetitive, relaxing waves. You're a good kid, SJ, Simone whispers, Do you think you can promise me something? The Wataf Chow looks up at Simone curiously before nodding. I know it's unfair for me to ask, kiddo, but do you think you can keep an eye on your little brother? Be there for him when we aren't able to? Life might get a little more scary soon, but it'd mean a great deal if you two still had each other no matter what happens. It'd mean a lot to me, she requests. SJ tilts their head in worry before nodding and nuzzling their face under Simone's chin. Thanks, kiddo. I love the both of you, and I'm working hard for you. We'll all get there, hun. We'll all make it. Their mother softly promises in return, before she falls into a peaceful nap. Simone stares at her own reflection, completely deadpan. She has always preferred loose-fit clothes, not only for the comfort factor, but also because the practicality of hiding things has saved her ass more times than she can count. What she wears now, however, this makes her feel somehow both stiff as a board and outright naked. The newly tailored uniform is militaristically formal. Dark purple in its base colour, the accents and flourishing details are a vibrant red and gold. Woven into the uniform coat's breast is the insignia for the Kelly royal family. It is a big white circle representing the Kelly's mother moon. In the bottom centre of this moon is a smaller circle casting thin triangles of light upwards, vaguely resembling the horns of a Kelly's head. The insignia itself is woven from very fine metallic thread, specifically designed to only reflect red light. As Simone turns her torso from side to side, she watches it glimmer and almost glow. Sighing, she furrows her eye tuft so she gives her head fur a gander. Professionally groomed, the usually wild mess is straightened, glossy, and pulled back into a semi-tight ponytail. She previously had to fight tooth and nail to keep the little swervy bit of fur that resided on her forehead, but it was worth it to her, as she preferred not to completely expose the billboard that was above her eyes. Last thing she needs in this delicate political mission is to tempt people into offering her credits to post advertisements upon the dome. Oh, are you dressed? Can we see? Chuck's voice inquires from outside the ritzy changing room. You know, Terrans are going to keep calling your species sheeple if it gets out that your luxury rich people clothes are made from their own fur. Simone grumbles back. Well, they'll call us that anyway. Besides, it's a common practice for Northers as well. If you have fur, why not utilize it? I'm actually surprised the concept is so odd to the profoundly adaptable apes, Chuck points out amused. Yeah, no. Somehow the idea of wearing a Terran fur sweater makes me feel weird. Especially if it wasn't just the head stuff. Plus, I'm pretty sure ours would suck as a material, hence why we probably used others, Simone says, as she turns to get a better look at the back of the uniform. I see. Then perhaps I'll personally make you a pair of socks for your sporting anniversary, the princess teases. No thanks, the Terran responds quickly. I'd rather be wearing a stranger's clippings. Rude, Chuck giggles. Now stop stalling. Everyone else is already finished. The Kelly seizes up in sheer surprise, as Simone suddenly and dramatically opens the door, wearing a coy smirk. Looking good, sugar mama, the redhead flirts with a wink, and a hand firearm gesture. Chuck's eyes flash so brightly that the insignia on the Terran's chest appears cartoonishly irritated, for a brief moment. Ow, it's been a while since you pretended to shoot me, she notes, as she steps up to the Terran. What's a mother of sugar supposed to refer to? She inquires, as her lowers feels and micro-adjusts Simone's coat. Let's just say there is no way I could throw so much money for one set of clothes, Simone replies, as she gives Chuck a mutual look over. The princess is obviously wearing a specifically Kelly-tailored variant of a similar uniform. However, it does have extra frills and lace that was to either distinguish her as royalty, or perhaps Chuck just wanted it to be more pretty. Chuck herself has had her fur groomed with a few decorative braids. Her horns have golden casps with jeweled chain crisscrossing between all four, and finally along her back was a red cape that bore her family insignia in a much larger form. Simone hums, as she rotates to look back into the changing room towards the mirrored wall. Just look at us, she says in a sigh. I think you look very pretty, Chuck chirps, as she wraps her arm around the Terran's waist. Despite everything, simply saying that still makes the big scary Terran's face flush with red. Well, damn it. Now I can't make fun of myself, Simone bashfully responds in a pout. That's right. Though I do miss your fur as it usually is, Chuck says, as she gets lost staring into the reflections. Me too. Can't even touch my head without risking messing this up, the redhead agrees softly. Looking at the Kelly's glowing face through the mirror, she smiles. What you thinking about? Oh, Chuck utters warmly. I'm just imagining how we both looked on the day we met. Me, a lady wearing her least colourful outfit to not stand out while navigating a Deathworlder station. And you, a rugged bounty hunter who smelled of ethanol and grime. I feel like such a different person since then, and yet... She trails off, unsure of how to describe this feeling. Yet at the same time you still feel the same? Yeah, I get you. Simone finishes for her. Indeed. That same girl is about to do something she never thought possible, fighting her father rather than running. This is a huge and terrifying step to take. I can hardly believe she is capable of it, the princess explains. Hey, not too late to back out. I know this is my idea, but there might be a better way of doing this, Simone says in earnest. No. I believe this is our best chance to hit back at what's already in motion. It sounded honestly ludicrous when you first proposed it, but if my father is allowed to reshape our people's government with unprecedented slaughter, I can participate in playing risky politics with Terrans, Chuck affirms. Alrighty then. Should we go on and join up with the others? The Terran poses, tilting her head towards a private rented room. Oh, I almost forgot. One more thing before that. Chuck peels off from Simone to grab a box from a small cart against the wall. I used the credits I set aside for your special betrothal gift for this, so consider it an early gift, she informs, lifting the box up for Simone to open. Raising her eye tuft, Simone reaches down and clicks the top of the box open. Inside is a folded piece of dark red fabric. Taking it out, she inspects it to see that it's a shoulder cape, with an unknown symbol on it. Callie don't quite have a perfect equivalent to the Terran fairy tale knight, but that is the written rune for hero of the people. It usually refers to Callie who have done great deeds that better the lives of others. Simone brushes her thumb across the rune, both humbled and proud. This is so... Simone starts to say, before her eyes catch what was under the first item. Folding the cape over her arm, Simone reaches her hand back in the box. When it lifts back out, it carries a bladeless hilt of a familiarish weapon. Spanning the crossguard are etched letters in classic Terran English script, reading Clarent. Turning it over, she expects the same word to be written, but to her surprise and immediate recognition was... Excalibur, Simone whispers, as her mouth cracks a smile. Her mind is struggling between being amused, thrilled, and oddly nostalgic. Indeed. The most common fairy tale I would read regarding Terran folklore was that of a King Arthur. He had two swords, one he used for acts of peace and the other to wield in war. I thought, since my fairy tale night became true, she ought to have a matching weapon as well. I know your plasma cult is very special to you, but... Chuck explains, before a burst of controlled, solidifying liquid crystal erupts upwards from the sword's hilt. A smooth and broad crystalline emerald green blade aims up towards the ceiling, nearly roughly 3 standard feet in length. If Simone was brutally honest, green wasn't her typical styling colour choice, but this particular hue was stunningly special, because it must have been meticulously chosen. It was the very same colour she sees daily in her own reflection. With another press of the activation, the blade disintegrates into particles, then invisible gas. Almost reverently, Simone tilts it back into both of her hands. This is the coolest yet corniest gift I've ever gotten, she says, before bringing Chuck in for a heartfelt embrace. I'm glad you like it, love, Chuck replies. It's perfect, the Terran whispers. You're perfect, the Kelly counters. Are you hiding your crying face from me again? There was a short pause. Maybe, Simone sniffs in a chuckle, before pulling away and wiping her eyes. It also comes with a belt with an attach point so it can be worn at your hip, Chuck says, as she pulls the final item from the box. I think you'd look rather dashing with it. Alright. Damn, too bad I don't have anything for you right now. How am I going to match this? Simone partially jests, as she fits the belt and shoulder cape on. By convincing the Terran president of the truth. That would surpass any gift by light years, Chuck replies, a bit more seriously than intended. Yes, milady, Simone salutes with a smirk, before leading Chuck back towards the rented room, where everybody else who's participating in the upcoming operation awaits. There she is, Brady cheers, as the couple walks in. Simone looks around to see her Terran comrades all wearing nearly identical uniforms to hers, just without the recent additions. Then there's Miki and Nodrin, who are also dressed in the same theme as everyone else. Nodrin's already well-brushed head fur was hardly altered, while Miki's normally absolutely untamable lock is pulled back into a similar ponytail as Simone's. Sitting herself down on a cushioned seat, The redhead bit at her cheek as time drew near to pass the threshold. "All right, Chuck. Inform Brom's forces that they are clear to escort our ships to a secure location," she initially says. "Very well," Chuck agrees, as she activates her lens. "I've secured our ride to CSH via an official Central Diplomat transport vessel. We'll board in 1.5 standard hours and be settled in private quarters for the jump," Thorne announces. "I've been keeping an eye on tab channels. As far as Central knows, the runaway princess is the sole leader of the Cali forces, aiding in the Grat uplifting. It's causing quite the stir, though many don't seem surprised," Devon reports, not even looking up from his datapad. "And the Grat ambassador is welcoming both the princess and our sweet little lovebirds here for a meeting, before talks with the Terran president. I believe we have decent chances of extending our luck to gain legitimate access to the talks as well," Brandy informs, as she thumbs to Miki and Nodrin. "We understand role to play. Hope not to harm relations, though," Nodrin speaks. "Could endanger our entire people. Must be careful," Miki nods in reminder. "We have a few days to prepare, right?" Troy asks for clarification. "By the time we settle in, I mean." "Yes. In those few days we will need to refine our plan as best as we can," Chuck rejoices after her lens deactivates. "What can we expect when we get there? Kinda like Vapor Perna, but with more bureaucracy?" Simone asks, the local politician. "Oh, a little I suppose. But you remember the station and bar where we first met?" Chuck responds, as her lower arms reach up to scratch the sides of her head. "Of course," Simone says. "Well, it's the opposite of that, I suspect. You may feel as I did when walking into that bar. I love you, Simone, and you are very capable, but I think you will certainly be out of your element. Most of you will, I assume," McCallie informs, as she motions to everyone else present. "Guess as much. Would I be allowed to carry the sword with me?" the redhead asks. "Only while we're in the outer residence, business and trade hubs. But as for the diplomatic operations hubs, I think it's very unlikely. Though the goal is to not resort to collateral violence, so perhaps that's for the best," Chuck answers. "That reminds me. Suppose we ought to get our luggage in order," Thorne says, as he walks to the back corner where said luggage sits in wait. "Always check before committing to travel, and we ought to get there at least 40 standard minutes early. You never know what security might pull." As the others triple-check their things, Simone and Chuck share a whole conversation in a single look with one another. This is it. No going back. After today, we will embark on the beginning of our fight against insurmountable galactic-wide odds. This is the time to show that we won't run anymore. The Cali King, the Children of Gaia, and the Manarian Empire. We will take them all head-on, or we embark on our last trip together in a fool's hope that we can make a difference. May the stars themselves be in our favor.